welcome to this Christmas edition of Martha Monday. I'm Laura McFarland. Thanks for stopping by our channel. Let me just say right up front that if you like today's message, if you could give us a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, please do that. That would be a great blessing and a help and an encouragement to us if you just click that big red subscribe button, enter your Gmail address, and it doesn't cost you a thing, and it is certainly a great help to us. Okay, today for Martha Monday, we are making, as it says here, cranberry walnut cheese ball. A cranberry walnut cheese ball. Cheese balls are great for the holiday season. It's just good to have something savory for the family and friends to snack on, as well as all the yummy sweet stuff that we're making. This cheese ball goes together very quickly, very easily, and once you try a homemade cheese ball, you're just never going to want to buy those hard ones that you find at the grocery store. I've got my beautiful Christmas plate out here. This has been in our family for years. It's got a little bowl with it that when I make a cheese ball, I just put it there in that little indentation in the center. And I have a little Christmas tree spreader that I like to use. Whether you have a Christmas themed spreader or just a butter knife or something that you're going to put in there, always be sure and do that, because as soon as you start letting guests dip into that cheese ball directly with the cracker, you're going to have cracker crumbs and broken pieces of cracker in the cheese ball. Nobody wants that. So always be sure and add a little butter knife or a little spreader when you do that. I have my crackers all ready. You can use any sort of crackers or even vegetables to dip your cheese ball in if you like. The other ingredients are walnuts, of course, cranberry walnut cheese ball. The base is cream cheese with some sharp cheddar. We put a little bit of garlic in there, and then the cranberries and the diced green onions. Now, part of these ingredients are going to go in the cheese ball, and then some of them are not only going to be inside, but we're going to make something afterwards to roll them out in. So let's just get right to it. We're going to start with this cream cheese, and I have been letting this sort of start to get soft. I just laid it out of the refrigerator on the counter while I was measuring everything out. So that should be super easy, assuming I can get it apart. So we're going to tear this open. The walnuts that are going to go in here, it calls for a whole cup of walnuts, and I went ahead and diced those up with my Pampered Chef chopper, and I stuck those in the oven at 375 for just about 3 minutes, just to get them lightly toasted. You don't want to toast them for very long. You certainly don't want them to get burnt in the oven. So I have that cup all set and ready to go. Cream cheese is great for spreading. It's gotten to a good temperature, at room temperature here. We've got the cream cheese. I'm going to go ahead and drop in my 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese. It's a sharp cheddar, and I went ahead and chopped that up or shredded that in advance so it would be all set to go. So there's that. I'm going to mix this in pretty good. And then we're going to add half of what the recipe calls for of the cranberries. So the recipe calls for a half a cup of dried cranberries. We're going to put a fourth of that in the cheese ball, and then the other fourth is going to be on the outside later for rolling. So let me get my measuring cup. I've just got the dried cranberries from Aldi. I like to keep these around to put in my oatmeal in the morning. So I have half a cup measured. I'm just going to take half of that, a fourth of a cup, put that in there, and then the same for my green onions. It calls for a fourth of a cup of green onion, and so I'm just going to measure out about what looks like about half of that. I don't have an eighth of a cup measuring spoon, so measuring cup, so just about half of that is going to go in here. So I've got all that in there ready to go. I'm just going to keep mixing, and eventually I'm probably going to get my hands dirty and get that in there to get this nice and mixed up. Let's get another spoon. I'm just going to keep working with it. I didn't want to put the cream cheese in the microwave and get it too soft so that it wouldn't stay together and make a nice ball. So you just want to keep sort of messing with it. It's nice that you don't have to get your hands dirty, because once you get your fingers in this, it's sort of hard to get them clean again. So I'm just about to get it all mixed together. And then I'm also going to drop in half of my nuts. So it calls for 1 cup of nuts, and I'm going to put half a cup of these into my cheese ball mixture. Remember, these have already been sort of lightly toasted, so drop those in there. See how quick and easy this is. Your family's going to love it, and you're probably going to find yourself making one for Christmas and having them snack on it Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. It disappears, and they'll be asking you to make another one for New Year's Eve. So just get ready. Be sure you have lots of crackers on hand to enjoy this delicious cheese ball. So here we go. I'm just going to keep mixing, trying to resist the temptation to put my fingers in there. Because I always have polish on, I'm reluctant to get my fingers too much into something. I don't want to find a speck of fingernail polish in there, and I never remember to pick up cooking gloves or those plastic gloves that the cooks all have on in the commercial kitchen. So I think we're in good shape. Here we go. Now, here's what's going to happen next. I am going to first use a piece of wax paper to sort of make this into a ball. Again, trying to keep my fingers from getting too messy. So we'll just let the wax paper do the dirty work for us. So if this is a trick that you've never seen before, you might want to remember it for making cheese balls from other recipes that you may try. You could probably change this out, try different cheeses if you want. I thought about adding just a little Worcestershire sauce to this. I thought that might add just a little bit of a hint of a different flavor as well. Just remember that I forgot to put in the garlic powder. We're going to go back into the container again. That's what happens when you record live. You just never know what you're going to forget. So almost forgot that. The garlic powder calls for half of a teaspoon. So I've got my measuring cup all ready to go. Take this lid off to make it easier to measure. And there we go, half of a teaspoon of garlic. Now that is going to add some good little flavor. If my daughter-in-law were making this, I'm guessing that she would dice up a little bit of jalapeno and put in there. When she was 2 years old, my granddaughter, Charlotte, loved to taste everything that would be put on somebody else's plate. She was willing to try everything. And so one day her mama was having a jalapeno because she's a Texas girl and she eats those spicy things, and Charlotte just kept insisting that she wanted to try it. So finally Tori gave up, let her try that jalapeno, and of course she had a shocking result and is doing this with her tongue and asking for water and something to drink. Her older sister started laughing hysterically at her because, of course, how could you not laugh at that response? And she asked for it. And Charlotte, who was just starting to talk and put together sentences, sort of scowled and said, "No funny, no funny." And so that's sort of become a little phrase in the McFarland family now. When something is embarrassing or whatever, or we just don't want to be laughed at, we all say, "No funny, no funny." So that's the great thing about having kids and grandkids. You add lots of fun memories thanks to the stories that we can tell on them. Okay, well, it wasn't all for naught that I forgot the garlic powder, because you got a fun story that I got to remember to tell and to share. So I think that we're going to get this wound up into a nice little ball as such. And I'm remembering that maybe when I make this, I like to use parchment paper instead of wax paper, because the wax paper is not quite as sturdy, but I think it's going to work. So we've got that all together here. It's starting to tear on one side, but I think it's going to be okay. And you see how wonderful that is? It's making up into a nice little round ball, and I didn't have to get my fingers dirty at all. So there is the cheese ball. Now at this point, you could wrap this in plastic wrap, put it in a freezer bag, and you could go ahead and freeze that. If you want to make this ahead early in December and save it for the holidays, you can certainly do that. But I'm going to serve mine right away. So we're just going to go ahead and proceed. I'm going to cut out another piece of wax paper and all of my ingredients that are left. The rest of the walnuts. I'm going to spread these out, hoping that you can see Let me move the cream cheese box and pull everything forward so you can see what I'm doing. So here are the walnuts, got those spread out. Then we're gonna add the cranberries that are left. Remember, I put half of them in the cheese ball. The other half are coming out here, so there's half of those. Just sort of spread them around so get everything mixed in. And then the other half of the green onions. So we're just gonna spread those on top as well. It looks really festive to have the green onions with the red dried cranberries. It just looks kind of Christmassy with the colors. And of course, those flavors are going to taste delicious, the little savory and salty of the nuts with the sweetness of the cranberries. So now you guessed it, we're going to drop our cheese ball on top here, as so. Getting all of the paper off, set that aside. And now I'm just going to sort of use the wax paper to sort of roll this around and get it covered with the nuts and the cranberries. Might get my fingers just a little messy, but not nearly as messy as they would be otherwise. So just gonna keep sort of moving this around a little bit until it all adheres, gets stuck on there. And isn't that just looking beautiful? It's going to taste so yummy and so delicious, and it went together so quickly, and the results are just beautiful. You can't buy a cheese ball like this in the grocery store, all put together in plastic and manufactured months before. This is going to just be delicious. It looks beautiful. It's going to taste delicious, and your family will be so impressed when you put that on your serving plate and serve it to them on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or on New Year's Eve when you're watching those Christmas movies or working a puzzle or playing a game. They will certainly enjoy the cranberry walnut cheese ball. You may take it to the office or take it to a party, but it's just such an easy and quick appetizer to pull together. I know you're going to want to try it. I'll put a link below where you can download a PDF for your very own copy of the recipe, and wherever you are or whatever you're doing as you enjoy the Christmas season, love one another well and celebrate the blessed season. And the best, most joyous, wonderful news of all, who we're celebrating is the person of Jesus Christ, because Christmas is all about Him. Merry Christmas from my house to yours. I'm Laura McFarland, and this is Cross My Heart Ministry.